1967 Missouri, Army training. Some of the guys couldn't read or write. One fellow in my bunk room from Missouri named Tom received a letter and picked the wrong guy to read it. It was a love letter from his girlfriend, and the guy reading it quoted, "Dear, I'm sorry, but I found another lover since you were drafted into the army, and he's one hell of a lover, I must say." Tom broke down and cried like a baby. And then I saw a smile on the guy's face reading the letter. I said, "Give me that letter." I read out loud a very nice, gentle letter from his girlfriend, assuring him of her undying love. I thought it a very cruel joke perpetrated on Tom. From then on, Tom would only let me read and write his letters for him. And we felt that the guy pulling a fast one on Tom was an ass, and let him know about it. Then the guy said he really was sorry and didn't know better because his upbringing was not good. He said he had never known his father and that his mum was a whore in the French Quarter of New Orleans, a real pay-as-you-go prostitute. Wow, what a thing to say about one's mum, even if it was true. The guys in the basic training company became like very close brothers. Brothers in torment, maybe. I told the guys in my room about what my father said about just trying to do your best in basic training instead of fighting it. The guys agreed that to fight basic was futile as we were in it, and we are not getting out of it. So I think things went better for us with a change of effort and attitude. The rifle and the handgun shooting at the range was fun. The gun range was about 10 miles away from the barracks. We marched and jogged to the range every day back and forth with our rifles and full gear on. A full 20 miles a day plus other exercises. A tough training in endurance. We could take apart and clean and put back together our handguns and rifles blindfolded. On the rifle qualifying day it was raining, but we still had to be shoot and be rated. They had 3 ratings for rifles and we would get medals according to how well we shot. The targets in each lane were pop-up targets of silhouettes from the waist up as people. The targets would pop up front to both sides from anywhere from 25 meters to 350 meters. If you hit the target, it would go down. If you missed, it would stay standing. I wore glasses for distance as I had astigmatism, and it was raining steady enough to throw the bullets off course when sighting in on distant targets. I don't know exactly why, probably because it didn't really matter much why we were qualifying today in the rain. They should have had pop-up targets behind us also, as that was a common problem in Vietnam. The NVA and regular VC would have spider holes dug everywhere in an area they set ambushes in. When the shooting started, in most instances, you were already surrounded and usually outnumbered. I scored marksman, the lowest award. Then there was sharpshooter and then expert. Mostly everyone scored marksman as it was raining steady. I liked shooting. It was a challenge.
Of course, everything was a challenge in basic training. Endurance is what it was mostly about. Exercising, marching, and running were big. We also had hand-to-hand combat training, mostly how to kill a person in sort of a kung fu way, crushing throats, breaking heads with a boot stomp, breaking necks and strangulation, along with breaking arms and legs. It was sort of disgusting. All kill, kill. A normal guy wouldn't really want to get into a fight with a strong trained soldier. It could get deadly. We also learned how to kill with a knife, and then a bayonet attached to a rifle. Such lovely subjects to be skilled in. But the army was all about destruction of an enemy. We also had a lot of training in obstacle courses, grenade throwing, and to not be afraid of someone shooting at you and explosions going off near you. But we knew they were not trying to kill us, so that it really had minimal effect. One fellow, a short skinny guy who wore glasses who was crawling on the ground with us in training, made a slight cry of pain. His shoulder would dislocate when he crawled. I and another guy would pull his arm in a certain way to set the shoulder again. We told him he was lucky that he could get out of the army with this disability, but he said he didn't want anyone to know as he was determined to stay in the army and fight for his country. Wow, what a great kid. What a contrast to the cowardly draft dodgers. We had a lot of great guys among us. We had one guy drop his live grenade when he tried to throw it. That was a bit of a scramble. Luckily, no one was killed. Ah, the pleasures and dangers of basic training. Finally, we were coming to the end of our basic training after 2 months. It felt like 2 years. We were all strong and learned a lot. Oh, the food was pretty good. And we had 3 meals a day. Meal breaks were nice. In the last 2 days, we got our orders for what and where we would be sent next for further training. By this time, not very many fellows were wishing to go into the infantry. Most of us were draftees and had no choice in further training in the army. Most of us expected orders for Fort Polk, Louisiana, to be further trained as infantry. Well, most of us were picked for infantry training, a few for artillery training, a few for combat engineers, 2 for radio school, and 5 of us for helicopter mechanic school at Fort Rucker, Alabama. I was picked for helicopter mechanic school. I was overjoyed at my luck. A mechanic, not infantry. How lucky. I enjoyed mechanic work and on aircraft yet. Great, I was a good mechanic on cars and motorcycles already, and now I would be on helicopters. All the guys were running around the barracks that day, comparing where they were going and what training they would be assigned to. It was good news for a few of us, but bad news for most. When I went into the Army, I wanted to be infantry and sent to Vietnam. During the 2 months in basic training, I totally changed my mind on that. The corporal, who told us what Vietnam was really like, changed a lot of our minds. It would be nice to stay alive, we thought. Anyway, we said our goodbyes and we wished everyone good luck wherever they were going. It was a sad parting, as we knew most of us would be off to war.
The next morning, we were all off either by army plane or army bus to our next training fort. That was quick, I thought. The few of us that were picked to go to Fort Rucker were boarding a 2-engine fixed-wing army plane at night and took off. We hit a big lightning storm on the way, and the plane was going up and down and sideways. I got very airsick, and I thought that I was not cut out to be flying around in anything. We landed finally after what seemed a very long time in the air for me. We went to our barracks, which were the old wooden ones, and then to the mess hall for food. I think it was morning, and we all were very surprised at what we were seeing. The food was like on display as a buffet. We could choose what we wanted, and they had everything. French toast, pancakes, eggs made how we liked them, sausage, bacon, ham toast butter, jellies, the whole range of good food, and we could have as much as we wanted and could go back for seconds. Wow, unbelievable. We sure landed in the right place as far as food went. Maybe the army wasn't so bad after all. That was our thought as we had our first breakfast. Back in the barracks for a rest. We were assigned bunks according to alphabetical order. There were about 50 of us, new guys from all over the country. It was a big bay area where most everyone was bunked, but 3 of us were assigned a 3-man room up some stairs from the bay area. It just happened by alphabetical accident. There was me, a Jewish fellow from New York City, and a black country fellow from North Carolina. We had a good mix of people in our barracks. After a hefty lunch and dinner buffet style, lights out at 9 p.m, and after a good night's sleep, although a little cold due to no one keeping a fire going in the barracks, we went outside for our morning formation. There, an instructor told us we had physical training to do, and then we would go to our classes. Classes just like college, maybe. And the physical training consisted of some jumping jacks for freedom, we called them, some push-ups, and a short run around some barracks. That was it. One guy said we would get fat as pigs with the good food and little exercise. We were getting spoiled. The classes were sit-down courses, sometimes studying technical manuals with just pencils as weapons. No rifles in this school, which was fine with us. Other classes consisted of actual mechanical work on the Huey helicopter and other aircraft, taking things apart and putting things back together, wrenches instead of rifles. Oh, it was all so wonderful. I even bought a little transistor radio with an attached earplug that most times at night I could listen to my favorite Chicago radio station, WLS. It sort of kept me attached to Chicago news, music and weather. It was the winter of 1967 to 68. Great time for great music.